Ever since man started to think, he's wanted to fly. But flying was strictly for the birds.
Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go up to the up, up, they go down to the up, down.
Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali, you might hear noise in the background. There's some construction going on in my neighborhood. But this is going to be disturbingly entertaining to discuss how I had predicted. I don't know if I did so documentedly on a share, but they're going to have to figure out what to do with the airline industry because science is science and they cannot get around it. And thereby, I want to put down my prediction about what's going to happen while it's not as obvious, even though there is evidence to more than firmly back up what I'm going to share. And so if you've never been on an airplane, don't get on this one, but do the research so you can find one that has an amazing safety record and is not just a fly-by-night type of airline. Definitely never get on a private plane, but you best enjoy something that is truly a spectacular experience. That I've been able to fly on a plane 3 times in my life, and I enjoyed the heck out of myself. So knowing that, I mean, there are planes flying above my head all the time. I'm not here to say that this is the outcome for every single aircraft that gets up in the sky. But what's happening is money's involved. Money's involved. These folks don't want to be poor. They don't want to be broke. They don't want to be sued. And thereby, let's get to it. I was like, of course. Watch. It's a video. Morano on Fox News on climate flight bans. You will go nowhere and be happy. Flying is going to be a venue only for the rich and good. Let them die all up in those airplanes, all right? I'm just saying, they don't tell their own everything. I see it all the time. And they are intentionally creating car shortages, along with something they call 15-minute cities. Like originally the 15-minute cities, what it is that you're supposed to be able to live within a 15-minute radius of everything that you need. It's thoroughly impractical, but this is these elite devils on high who want to micromanage every single aspect of everybody's life. So I could go into depth over the 15-minute cities, but nonetheless, it is completely unfeasible and it's meant to control populations. But that said, I'm here about the airplanes. So when I looked up about the flight bans in France, these are taking place. It is actually true where they're eliminating a short distance air flights because they say it's unfeasible. It's all about the climate change, which is a bunch of hokum BS, because in all of this, they never, ever, ever mention this right here, which I just highlighted because I find it absolutely astounding. And once again, do not eat the sea moss. There's no place you could go where, let's just click on, I never clicked on this dot right here. It would probably take me a lifetime to click on each and every single one of these separate tests that will showcase what they found in that region of the planet. Here, 137 cesium. That's the one that goes directly to your heart muscle and turns it into jelly. Just one atom will destroy every cell for a diameter of 20 cells all around it. And remember, it's spherical. It's three-dimensional. So that's a lot of damage in a heart muscle, which relies heavily on every single cell being in perfect synchronized harmony. Oh my goodness. Who was it? Fritz Lang or somebody with the synchronized dancing, swimming, all the rest of that? He would have to study your heart to get it really right. So with all of this, banning short-haul flights to cut carbon emissions, and they're cutting carbon emissions because there's a rumor that it's impacting the climate, but they don't look at that map with all the radiation emits gamma waves, beta waves, alpha particles. It's hot. It's hot. And they never, ever, ever, ever mention the radiation. It's all the putt-putt cars. It's all the farm animals. When I'm like, so what's the solution to kill all the animals all over the planet? Because you ain't going to begin to convince me that there's more cattle on the planet peeing and pooping anywhere they please. And then there are just wild animals. Hallelujah, they're still around. We get the warning out. Maybe we can find some way to keep them around. But you cannot convince me that makes any damn sense to kill 200,000 cows to fight climate change. What? Do you know right after Chernobyl was, in my conclusion, deliberately exploded, that the radiation from Chernobyl went so wide scale all around Europe that in Ireland, in Switzerland, in England, they were banning farmers from selling the milk, from using anything, any of the byproducts, the products that come from raising farm animals. And so you're going to tell me now all of a sudden they want to kill these 200,000 cows and that makes some kind of climate change sense? It's a lie. It's a lie. They trust and believe human nature is more spiritual, more mystical than we want to acknowledge, because there's a certain ignorance that can be attached to that. But dispense with the idea that the Most High is in conflict with science. That is not possible. He invented science. And so thereby, everything's going to line up perfectly. If it doesn't, go back to the drawing board and start over again. Evolutionary theorist, still theorist, okay? And so, yeah, we wind up wanting to believe what feels right, and then we don't supplement that with the facts, with the data. So as some of you have pointed out, and it's just true, I've learned this all through my life, I could throw 1,000,000 books at you, 1,000,000 facts at you, and there's a portion of you that will still wonder, is she talking seriously? So all I have to do is just map the die-off, map the lunacy of the whole thing, which is only going to get more so. I have to map the crashes that are expensive, embarrassing. They've managed to forestall the big ones for a couple years there. There were some huge ones that they then very Keystone Cops tried to blame on the 737s, and they even docked a whole bunch of them. Oh, no, don't fly a 737. But that wasn't the only ones that were falling apart and crashing. That wasn't the only variety. There were all brands, especially single-engine private planes, where their regulations are far less rigid in terms of checking for any type of what is called, and I learned it from Christina Consolo and Lauren Murray. I thank those white ladies for the research they did so I could understand the Wigner effect. They would have to be looking for something called interstitial vacancies in the structure of the plane because the radiation, 80% of it went up in the troposphere where airplanes cruise. But it's not just in the troposphere. At this point in time, it's everywhere. I'm looking at the ships and all the problems they're having when you look at that map from the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is run by the nuclear industry. So I'm sure it's far worse than they'd ever admit because they're there to protect the nuclear industry. I'm sure the ships, they're barreling through all that radiation. It's going right. They draw the water in and then funnel it out so that they can reach high nautical speeds, as high as you can go on a boat, I suppose, and it's huge. But even the small ones, I've been seeing stories of how they're catching fire right there in the dock, right? So the radiation is in every single realm of our existence at this point. It's not just in one place. But you never hear these dudes mention any of it when this is established science. It's nothing that those who are in the highest level of governmental organizations, they know. They have a policy, though, where they don't let the underlings know. You know, even between the top officials, there's only so much information that they understand. And they trust that the public is going to be too overwhelmed. That's why all the distractions are out. Too overwhelmed to do the research so that we all can find out that these are demons. So this plane right here, it's the sonic boom was coming from the government itself. It didn't cause the crash. And everything's a mystery with these devils. When they know, there's a lot of planes making just straight U-turns or stopping where they are because they're having technical problems, a myriad of technical problems. They're going to try to push the bird strike excuse. But they don't have complete control over all the foreign airlines, and thereby they're going to have to work hard to get every single organization in line with the bird strike thing, just like they did with the virus scam. And so there's a lot of planes doing U-turns, landing on highways. If they don't crash, the private planes crash. Oh, my goodness. I couldn't believe it. I ran across maybe 7 air crashes in 2 days. And unfortunately, just so many people dead. Rich white people. They don't give a damn. Okay? So this isn't a mystery when you understand what the hell's happening to the not friendly anymore skies. So they had a problem with the pressurization system. And if you don't pressurize inside the cabin, the oxygen is going to stabilize with the oxygen outside the plane as it's 3,000 feet up in the air, which is impossible to breathe. It's like suddenly you're getting the bends. You can't get enough oxygen. You pass out. Pilot, everybody on the plane just passed out, right? And they probably tried to make the U-turn before they reached that critical point, and they didn't make it. They crashed into the mountains of Virginia, and I haven't seen any reports about whether they survived or not, but nobody's heard a word. And so I would think that they're just hoping people will forget, right? I'm sorry for the death. I don't wish anybody of any race harm. I'm just saying, snap out of it, especially you brown and lighter dudes. You worship, you suck up the farts that the devil puts out. And they need chaos. They're going to need such epic chaos. So they got, people are looking at the environment and saying something's wrong. But they're going to have their little, have you heard anything from the Sierra Club about anything? Any of these, even what's her face? I can't remember her name. Greta Thunberg, who deliberately looks like a Nazi Helga poster. Okay? They are, 'cause what teenager runs around dressed like she is with pigtails? That's not an accident. But you don't see any of these people talking about this stuff. You used to have Rachel Carson, who I didn't even know she spoke against radiation because they keep highlighting her advocacy against DDT. She wrote the book Silent Spring. You don't hear anybody mentioning radiation anywhere anymore. Even when it comes to Japan releasing the barrels of tritium, which they fool the whole world into thinking is, it's just like water. Water that kills you. Okay? That you don't hear anything about that. How the hell can they not be discussing this unless it's all a setup? Right? And so they want these fake, I'm sure this is just like Black Lives Matter, the organization, is a total setup in order to push the alphabet agenda. And that's why they haven't been successful. There are, I don't know, but I wonder about one. I don't know if it's Patrisse Cullors' cousin or nephew or something, who was just died, they say, from cocaine. That I don't believe. I don't believe that. Right? And so here's another organization that Europe's top eco-zealots are plotting a huge civil disobedience campaign of highway blockages and disruptions at federal properties in America's first summer of chaos. What do you mean, America's first summer of chaos? Where's this? Why are you predicting this? They've been predicting civil war for so long. And they even tried with January 6th, which was such a setup. Right? They even tried with all the protests over George Floyd, and they had pallets of bricks conveniently located. Come on now, really? And then they're pushing this constant narrative of just be angrier. They even had Burger King with their angry meal. And they had all of these different things. And they showed black people so that they could make it look like it was cool. And if you can't be angrier, be stuck on sex. To not learn that you're not a victim to your emotions. That's why they want these emotional men out here. And so that you feel like you can't think straight anymore. They don't want anybody to think beyond the next hour, right? So that they can fulfill the only way that they can be successful. The satanic elites is in chaos. And that's why they keep promoting it. And these dudes use the media to send their just warnings and commands, where here a wild goat pushed two women down the aggressive ibex. It looks like a goat, but it's an ibex. Charged at the 64-year-old woman and pushed her off the steep cliff's edge, sending her plummeting 20 meters downward before she landed on an overhanging ledge. Wow. And I think she had a friend that was also there and was attacked by the goat. They'll have these stories all the time about goats eating papers out of a policeman's vehicle, or they do this stuff. It's what they do. They even had one with a Chinese dude, and he was trying to instruct his goats to procreate more while he was using a megaphone. Stop. Yeah, they even say he is a wild goat. They don't say wild ibex. And here they have this super creeptoid video that's just like the statue in Jersey City. To shut the hell up, here, even scarier, military. See, for the satanic elites, it's all one planet. They're not thinking about separate countries. They're just like ready to get it all set up under one world government. And so this is another warning. Shut the hell up. The GOAT was to let you know, if you don't get this rolling, we're coming for you. And this is for those who know what's up. Keep yourself quiet, because they're starting to wonder. They didn't understand, like I said at the outset, what they signed on board for. Is not simply genociding us, but because a lot of us are a heck of a lot smarter than they counted on. We're not falling for it. So inevitably, everything they thought was just temporary, like I had showcased with the Aqaba situation where black sea urchins, I wonder if that's also a cryptic message, because they surely plan on killing us. The research team has sent an urgent report describing the situation to the Israel Nature and Parks Authority, calling for establishing a brood stock black sea urchins population so it will be possible to return them to nature when necessary. They thought this was all going to be temporary, but it's not. So, yeah, those plane tickets, or the prices are going to go through the roof. There's going to be more ridiculous flight delays. They've already tried the whole thing over in China, shut down the whole airline, and they were successful. So that's the real jockeying war going on, to see which continent can control its population the most. Thereby, if you ever wanted to go flying, as I said, I don't recommend it necessarily, but like I'm going out myself and just sitting here in our home, I hear airplanes on the constant. Most of them make it to their destination with no issues whatsoever. Hallelujah. But these dudes know that is temporary. The longer this goes on, and whatever they have in the works where they think that they could stop it, they don't get to implement the radiation eliminating remedies that we need to be having a investigation at, just backed up by a righteous military, not this one. Okay? In order to find out, because there's things that they're not in the books that I read, and they're not publishing them, but we need to know, because these dudes think this is temporary, right? They're waiting for us to die. They had to step it up by shipping in all Fukushima food and just over peddling the CMOS, getting rid of my channels, which was a huge thing. Huge. Genocide is not a small matter. In what I'm reading with these books, they're even revealing less than I am, some of them. And they were acknowledged by oh my goodness, what a sellout rag, but the New York Times, right? Killing a whole population of people targetedly. That is global caliber horror, right? All right. This is a much younger picture of me, but I'm the same exuberant person, because truth is a soul's fulfillment. As long as we defend the truth, we got this. When you kill oceans, you lose. I love you. Straight, black, family pride is our roadmap in the right direction, up forever. Peace and blessings.